Good morning, children.
Good morning, Auntie.
Good morning. Sit down.
Thank you.
Alright, so last time we saw about Harappan civilization and all of that, right? And how the civilization started, we saw all of that, right? Today we are going to do the chapter what books and burials tell us. What are burials? What are burials? New hands, alright, yes.
Auntie, the people who are dead are buried.
Are buried, right? Yes. So the dead, when they are buried, that is known as a burial. Am I clear? Now, what books are we talking of? Are we talking of Jeffrey Archer's and Sidney Sheldon, or then which books are we talking of?
Auntie?
Which books are we talking of? Yes?
Auntie, manuscripts, Auntie.
Books. All right, they were written in the form of manuscripts, but which books are we talking of? Yes? Yes?
Auntie, religious books.
What kind of religious books are they? Yes?
The Vedas.
Wonderful. Here when we are talking of books, we are talking of the Vedas. Do we all know how many Vedas are there?
4.
There are 4 Vedas. Which is the earliest Veda?
Veda.
Alright. So the earliest one was the Rig Ved. What is the meaning of Rig? It's very good. It's the meaning is root. Alright. The meaning of Rig Veda is root. Every knowledge that you want to have, I think you will find some solution of it, or every problem that you have, some solution will be found in the Rig Veda. Can you name the other Vedas? In Sigu, Samved, Atharvaved and Yajurved, right? Yajurved. So the other Vedas are, after Rig Ved, we have Samved, we have Atharva Veda, and then we have Yajurveda. All right? Okay? Yes? All right. So are the Vedas religious texts?
Yes.
We'll see that later on. All right? So now, through books, we are trying to now know about a period of history. Through books, we are trying to know about a period of history. Through burials, we are also trying to find out more about a certain lifestyle of the people. Am I clear?
Yes.
Now, who composed the Vedas? Who composed the Vedas?
Auntie, monk named Rishi.
A monk named Rishi? No. It was composed over a period. It was not composed in one day or in 1 year. It was composed over a period of time, and everything was compiled. You must understand that the Vedas earlier were transmitted orally from one generation to the other. And after around 1500 years or so, it was compiled. Am I clear? So when the Vedas were being transmitted orally from one generation to the other, it was known as Shruti. What was it known as? Shruti. Remember when you were in nursery, did you know how to write A, B, C, D?
Yes.
You were taught to write. Did you know? The teacher taught you. Did you know how to read the books? No, the teacher taught you. But how did you learn? Your mother may have taught you that nursery rhyme, na? A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and you sang that?
Yes.
So it was Shruti. You were hearing it and then you were trying to learn. That is how the Vedas were transmitted from one generation to the other. And after around 1000 or 1500 years or so, it was compiled together. And Smritis are something which is memorized. Whatever you are doing now is because you're memorizing it. Memorizing it for what? For worksheets, for exams, etc., etc., etc. Did you understand? All right. So Vedas were initially Shrutis, falls into Shrutis, and later on Smritis. There were Smritis. Manusmriti you have heard, often talked about. Manusmriti, have you heard of that? Text? Heard of Manusmrit? From your grandfather. So those are Smritis. They are a completely different section. Anyway, so the period during which the Vedas were composed was known as Vedic age. Am I clear? And the Vedic age is divided into two early and later. We will do the differences later on. Am I clear? We'll do the differences later on. Okay. So the Vedic age is again divided into two parts. One is early Vedic age and the other one is later Vedic age. Very good. Now it was during this Vedic age people were more civilized possibly by the Harappan civilization, but they were still in tribes. Did you understand? We had done this in Harappan civilization. Do you remember that there were tribes and each of these tribes had their own culture and all of that, right? We had done that. So the people were still tribal in nature. There was a king who was ruling them who was called a Rajan. He was called a Rajan. But don't compare him to the later kings who came up in the later Vedic age, because the later kings had more wealth. Here he was just protecting and taking care of his tribe. And any person who was tall and strong and could take care of the tribe became the Rajan. The post was not hereditary. Am I clear? Did you understand? All of you? Also, during this time the tribes were known as what? Have you heard the word? What is it called? Jana. Jan. Gan. Gan कहते हैं ना?
Yes.
है ना? So the whole tribe was referred to as this. During this Vedic age, we also find the concept of a family also had started up. What is the concept of a family? The head of the family is the male person, then there's the mother, then there are children. What is the head of the family called? Family? Tribe is called a Rajan. Head of the family is called a? What have I written? Grihapati. Griha in Hindi is the Paryavachi of Ghar. So Grihapati, he is the head of the family. Am I clear? Alright, we have done all of this. Now let us understand, who do you think composed these Vedas? Who composed? Who wrote? The rishis, we said it was transmitted orally and then it was compiled. It was done by the rishis, but who wrote it? Who were the people? They have often been referred to, I don't know whether you know or not.
Aryans.
Yes. Now who were Aryans? Not you. Aryans are a race. Yes. Who are Aryans or who were Aryans?
They were basically invaders who came into cities and ruled. They killed the people, or the people ran away, and they ruled the city. And basically they were wanting more area and more wealth if they can.
All right.
Wanderers who go to places do that.
Can I rub this, children?
Yes.
Indo-European people. Very good. All right. So I'm rubbing all of this, okay?
Yes,
All right. Now, it is said, and this is a theory that was given by Professor Max Muller. Have you heard his name?
No.
Huh?
No, I heard it when I was reading the encyclopedia about it.
What did you read about him?
I once just saw this name and after which I was like, no, it will be something boring and I flipped over that.
Oh, you flipped over? You must read. All right. He was a German, but he was a great scholar and he had translated a number of Indian books into English also and German. Am I clear? All right. Now, Professor Max Muller had given us this theory of Aryan invasion. All right. He had given us this theory of Aryan invasion. What did he say? He said that these Aryans, they came to India. No, not sorry. Suppose this is the eastern part. They came to India from areas around Caspian Sea. Caspian Sea currently is in Central Asia. All right, it is in Central Asia. So then he gave the reason why did the Aryans then leave the areas around the Caspian Sea. Can we see that on the Caspian areas around the Caspian Sea? Just see if you can. Now what did he say? Why did the Aryans, I'm here, you're going to look, see here, hello. So what did Professor Max Muller say? Why did the Aryans come to India? Why? Because he said that slowly this area around the Caspian Sea was becoming dry. The land was becoming infertile for cultivation, and hence the Aryans left their place. One segment came to India and the other segment went to Europe. Am I clear? So the ones who came to India were known as the Aryans, and it was believed that it was the Aryans who composed the Vedas, which of course, if you remember, I had taken up when I was doing Harappan civilization. I told you there are many discoveries that are being made in Rakhigadi, the proto-Indians actually, right? And there were no Aryan invasion, did not happen. So therefore many things will get changed later on, but this was what is generally believed in, right? It is contested now, it is challenged now, but this is usually believed. This is the Caspian Sea, children. Can you see how dry these areas have become? So, and where is Caspian Sea, by the way? Find out the country where it is, right? So,
Afghanistan.
it's Central Asia, but which country right now?
Afghanistan, Iran.
No, it's not in Afghanistan. It's not in Afghanistan. It's in Russia. Wait, not exactly in Russia. I think it should be in Kazakhstan somewhere. Caspian Sea. Caspian is P-I-A-N. Kazakhstan. It is in Kazakhstan.
Northeast to Russia, northwest to
Azerbaijan. It's in Kazakhstan. It's in now can you find the Central Asian country and see where Kazakhstan is? So Caspian Sea is in modern day Kazakhstan. Kazakhstan earlier was a part of Russia. Now it is an independent country by itself. Am I clear? Alright, and we'll see the location. Did you understand? So it was, for a long time it was believed that the Vedas were written by whom? By the Aryans. Am I clear? Am I clear?
Yes.
All of you? All right. Okay. So we have done who the now where were the Vedas composed? Which part of the country were the Vedas composed? सप्त सिंधु किसे कहते हैं? Yes. सप्त सिंधु. सप्त सिंधु. Yes.
I think Sindhu was an ancient river which...
In this river. Alright. So it was believed. See, this is Kazakhstan, children. Can you find? Ain. And the Caspian Sea is here. Can you find this? Yes. The Caspian Sea is here. It falls in Kazakhstan. It's actually in Turkmenistan and Kazakhstan, but this is the Caspian Sea. And Max Muller believed that the area around the Caspian Sea was becoming dry. People could not cultivate, and hence the Aryans moved from here and they came to India. Am I clear? And there was another branch which went to Europe. Did you understand? Alright, now we come back to that physical map. Alright children, okay, so where did the Aryans first settle then? If we are to believe in this theory, where did they settle? They settled around river Indus and its tributaries. Okay?
I think that's why it was assumed that maybe the Aryans only made the people
Indus Valley
of Indus Valley civilization leave that area and go away.
Did you understand? All right. So, did I tell you? All right. So, they settled somewhere over there. Can you see? Well, somebody tall. That is the river Indus. If you see, okay. Can we?
Yeah, sure.
Can we do it? Just a little more so that we. A little more. Wait. Yeah. This side. Can you see this? This is the river Indus. Thank you so much, Puchi. This is the river Indus, and those are the tributaries. Can you see Satluj, Beas, Ravi? Can you see?
Yes.
It's mentioned over there. So the Aryans, it was believed that they came from areas of the Caspian Sea and they settled around river Indus and its tributaries. Clear? They settled and they wrote the Vedas over there. ठीक है? Did you understand this much, children?
Yes.
All of you? Any questions, any doubts? No? All right. Now slowly what they had done was that they left that place and they get, can I use this? And they had settled over here first, but as the population increased, meaning that as more and more Aryans were coming from Central Asia, they left this place and they started settling in the Gangetic plain. Did you understand? Gangetic plain, this is the Gangetic plain. Am I clear? They cut the trees, the forests, and they made their settlements. Now what happened to the original people of India? Where did they go? Pushed down south. Am I clear? So as more and more Aryans were coming and they were settling in the Gangetic plain, they were pushing the inhabitants, the original inhabitants of this place down towards the south. Am I clear? Right? And hence it is from here. And then, of course, you may have heard many. Have you read any of the stories that belonged to that period? You may have read about a word called this. What is it called? Dasyu. Dasyu. Right? Because all right, so Dasyu, Rakshas, all these are there, no, right? They are dark skinned, they're not good looking people, and that was termed because the people who originally lived in India were a little dark skinned, and hence they were not thought of as, you know, at par with the Aryans, as at par with the Aryans who were tall, fair and good looking people. So they were termed as Dasyus, right? Dasyu, later on slaves, they became the slaves later on. It's a long history later on. Did you understand this much, children? Now during this Vedic age, we also have, it happened a little later, but it did start in the later Vedic period when the concept of kingdom and empire. Do you understand the difference between kingdom and empire?
Yes.
What is the difference between a kingdom and an empire? Yes.
A kingdom is a small place where
As compared
rules,
and
an empire is a very
large place.
In which a single person is the one who rules the entire.
So who is the what is the ruler of that empire called?
The king.
No. No,
Emperor?
emperor. And if it's a lady, it's called the empress. And of a king, of the kingdom, the ruler is
King.
the king. Am I clear? And if it's the lady, it's the queen. Am I clear? All right. So kingdom. So later, the later Vedic age, we had the concept of kingdom and empires coming up. That is when we had something called Ashwamedha Yagya. Now what is Ashwamedha Yagya? I don't know whether you have read stories. For example, if you read even the Ramayana.
Yes.
Huh?
I read.
When Ram, you read? Very good. When Ram ji returns after his Vanvas, he has the Ashwamedha Yagya, and then Love and Kush hold the horse, and then they are called to Ram's court, right? What is the Ashwamedha Yagya? Why was it done by kings?
Adi. For the kingdoms to win some battles.
For the kings.
For the royalty.
For royalty. How?
Auntie, like he said that they have won a huge fight. So auntie, they come
Here, you know, actually.
auntie, they come for a royal welcome.
No, wait. All right, I'll tell you what.
Used to be a sacrifice of a horse. It used to be
The horse, actually, a very nice horse was first. You know, puja karte the. It was decorated, and along with the horse, some soldiers of the king would also go wherever the horse went, and if it was not opposed by the others, then that territory was considered to be a part of this, of the territory or the kingdom of this king. Am I clear? Anybody who opposed or halted or stopped the horse, they had to fight a battle. Whoever won, you know, was the king. Did you understand? So this also had become a practice during the Vedic age. Then you may have heard about various yagyas being yagya. हवन होता है ना, आजकल भी होता है हमारे घर में, अखंड रामायण होता है. There are so many things that happen, and yagyas, the sacrifices that were made, were all it had all started in the Vedic age. Am I clear? Did you understand? So today we have done about the Vedic age. In the next class we will do about the later Vedic, the difference between the later Vedic and the early Vedic age, and then we will do about the burials. What story do the burials tell us? How can the dead tell us a story? Can the dead tell a story?
No, they cannot tell.
Why can't they tell a story?
Yes,
Because they're dead, but because from the history we can know what has happened to them.
So for example, again I'm going to give you an example. You know, there was a pharaoh in Egypt by the name of Tutankhamun.
Tutankhamun second.
First, second, whoever,
He was
Tutankhamun,
second.
right? And we see, all right, we now declare him that he was possibly the richest pharaoh or the richest king in the world during that time. Why? We did not live. Did any one of us live to see whether he was very rich or very powerful over? And it is said that he died very young, around 18, 19 years he died.
Yes.
So now tell me, why do we consider him as the, bolo.
Auntie, the
Wait.
Great Pyramid of Giza was built for him, for his own burial, and the Great Pyramid of Giza is one of the 7 wonders of the world. Right?
So that's the reason why he was, one more reason, all right, one more reason. I'm coming to you.
Studied in the Neolithic age that when a person is buried, so
Buried. Huh.
his belongings were also buried from him. So my
With him.
auntie is I think so the kings, the hats and the jewels of gold and diamonds, like the very rich and wealthy things were kept in the pyramid.
Because,
From there we know that he.
Very good. You want to say something else?
Auntie,
That only? Anybody else wants to add to it? Yes?
Auntie, because the Egyptians used to believe in life after death, so that's why, like he said, they kept all his belongings with him. The food he used to eat, so that when he would come back to life, he would use them as.
May need them. So it's found even in the Harappan civilization. Don't go that far away to Egypt. It's found in Harappan civilization also that there were burials, and sometimes they were buried with some of the very expensive things that were found during that time, which was made out of a semi-precious stone called faience. Am I clear? Which I think we had discussed a little of it in the Harappan civilization. We'll be doing the Harappan civilization. All right. So burials also tell us a story. They have a story to tell. How do they tell us a story? If the grave has, now for example, so again let me come back. I'll just continue from where I left. Remember I told you that they had settled. They were the Aryans were spreading in the Gangetic area, and they were pushing the original inhabitants of India towards the south, right? In the south, what had started off was a culture which is known as Megalithic culture. All right? What had started in south was called a Megalithic culture. Lithic means, we had done this earlier, stones. Mega will mean big, huge. So what does megalithic culture denote then? Huge stones were placed in a certain manner, okay, where people were buried. Huge boulders were placed in areas where people were buried. Like maybe, I don't know, the Stonehenge can be one, yes.
Like a place, I cannot pronounce it nicely, Burazim. There
Burzahom.
Auntie, there are big stones lined, and underneath there are the graves.
Correct, right? So over here also in your book you will find, if you have your books and if you open, you will find that there was a megalithic culture down south, and the stones were either placed in a circular manner or in a semicircular manner, all right, or in a square shape, right? Huge stones were placed to indicate the spot of a burial. Now when this was dug up, when these burials were, you know, dug up, we found sometimes that these burials had many precious things along with the dead bodies, which again goes on to say, show what you said, that it was believed that they have a life after death and they may need these things in their next life, and that is the reason why they buried it along with the dead, so that they have their things that they know. You know, in the Egyptian and the Chinese civilization, sometimes the pets were also buried.
Yes.
It was
Right? Yeah.
For example, if a person had a dog, the dog was also buried with the person.
All right. Yes, that is what I'm trying to say. So therefore you will find, now I am going to give you a certain, you know, in Namgaon, I think is the name of the place that is given in your book. Yes, in Namgaon, right? Where there was a huge jar that has been found where a man is sitting, has been buried in a sitting posture. Might be, maybe, we don't know. We don't know. Could be the leader of the clan, could be the king, could be anything. It could be anything. Am I clear? So therefore, we find through this chapter, we find that books tell us a story, and through books we can recreate a certain period of time in history. We also find that through burials we also come to know about many things which existed during that time. Am I clear?
Yes.
All right. Okay. So now when you read books, will you try to understand why, who, what?
Yes.
Yes, and try to understand and try to recreate the history of that place. Clear? Okay. Thank you, children.
Thank you.
Thank you.